Welcome to this tutorial today. I'm going to show you the basics of stitching and burnishing. So I've pre-made this sheath here for my skiving chisel. This skiving chisel is a ceramic one. You generally see them using metal ones, whatnot. This is just a cheap one. So I pre-made this skiving chisel sheath, just to quickly knocked it up, just so I don't take away from the fundamentals of punching the holes, stitching and burnishing. Okay, let's jump straight into punching the holes. But first, before we can do that, we need to skive in or mark up where we are going to punch the holes. So with a set of calipers like this, what we will do is mark the holes. Mark the lines of where the holes need to be and whatnot. So I've got an insert here. Just see here, I've got an insert to stop the blade from thingy. Trashing everything. So what we want to do is skive a line down the center of that. I've not done a bad job of making sure everything lines up right, so I reckon if we manage to make it into the center, that will be alright. Okay, so what we're going to do is just skive, just make sure you're skive down like that. Whoops, I've gone off. It's alright if you go off, just keep going, because that should I'll just buff out after a while. Okay, so we'll just skive down this line here. There we go. And then skive across the bottom. Okay, so we've got a line now. You see, we've got a line around the edges. And here, there's a line there, and there's a line along here. That's going to be our punch lines. Okay, so now what we're going to do is punch the holes. The way we punch holes in leather is with punching prongs, or punching dies, or stamps, however you want to call them, they all do the same job. So what we'll do is we'll just quickly have a little mark up to see. So we want to start, and now we're just getting just to the end of the line here. So we don't have enough to do a whole punch. That's our little punch mark. We've got a little punch mark just there. So what we're going to do is set it back a bit. So we can use another 2 holes. So what we're going to do is we'll just go back, set it back in, and that will give us all our marks there. And then from the bottom left corner, we will go in there again, following the line, just hand pushing in, just to make sure that we've got enough. I think there we go. We've probably got room for one more. Oh yeah, there we go. It's going to be slightly skew-iff just at this, because it's going to be slightly off just at this corner here. Line that up as best as possible from that. Let's push it in. So I've just pre-pushed some holes in, just so we know where we're going to punch the holes when we go. We're going to do it on the floor because this table won't hold any weight against it. Okay, now what we're going to do is punch the holes in the leather. So we're going to start from where we started off before, make sure that we line up, and then what we're going to do is just give it we clear through the other side of the leather. Nearly there. I've just got this blue board here just to protect the lacing prongs, or whatever people call them, to remove them from here. Ideally, in an ideal world, you'd use diamond ones, so they're sort of shaped a little bit differently to these ones, but for a starter, a novice, or however you want to deem yourself, these ones do just fine and dandy. There we go. There we go. As I said, hard part is removing them. Lining that one up with that one, and just hammer it home again. What you can do, what a lot of people sometimes do when they're hammering into thick stuff, they generally start them off, and then what they do is they push through with their awl just to make the holes all the way through. See, that just goes all the way through, so you can start the holes. Just because this is very thick leather, this leather could be about, I'll probably say about a centimetre thick, 1/4 inch. So really, ideally, you just want to get through to the other side, just so you can see the other side. You see, there's got the little holes coming through there. Okay, so we've got the first set of holes knocked in there, and then you just go round again, just knocking the wee holes in. So we've got our holes there. So they're just little template holes. Then what we'll do is we'll just go through with the awl just to push through, because really thick leather. And if anybody out there from a leather supply shop would like to sponsor me, I would really be appreciative if you send me some more bunches. So I'm just going back through just to make these holes a little bit larger, just on the back end of it, just so it's easier to stitch up. Pushing it through, just making the already hole there just a little bit bigger. Okay, so now we have got our holes punched in like this. Then what we need to do is thread the needles. So as a bit of a contrast, I'm going to use red. It's red thread, so it's waxed, so it slides through the holes easier. So what we are going to do is measure 4 times the length we are going to do. So that's 1, 2, 3 sides. Okay, so there we have got our length of twine. So we want to do 4 times the size of that. So it's 1, 2, 3, and we do 4, and then we'll just go a little bit extra just for a little bit of fudge factor and anything that is unforeseen in stitching. Okay, so that's there. And then let's talk about needles. There's several needles you can use. These are short. These ones here are short and not pokey. Very well. They sort of struggle to get through that. So I generally like to use a sharp needle because it pierces better and it will help you along the way. So you might need to make these holes a wee bit bigger because they're quite a big needle and it's quite a thick grain of leather. So let's get to the stitching. First, I'll just show you how to thread onto the needle. So what you want to do, thread it through the eye, just like that. Pull it out a bit, and then to secure it, thread the needle through it, and then just pull down until it catches like that. And then I'll show you on the other side, because when you're stitching you use both sides of the thread. Just gets a stronger balance onto it. So you thread it through like so, pull it out a little bit, and then clip it through the end like that. And then you have 2 ends on the end of the needle, and then you're not gonna, the needles aren't gonna slip out. So we're on a stitching pony. This is the stitching pony here, and what we will do is we will clamp in the leather. So what you want to do is just clamp it in just so you can see it. So that sort of leaves both hands free. And then what we're going to do is we're going to use the awl, and we're just going to make these holes a little bit bigger. Just so we can get our needles through easier without damaging ourselves. But sometimes you might need a little bit of extra push, so I've just modified a wee burnisher just to help along. Okay, to start off, what we're going to do is we're going to go through this end here first, and there we go. Now what we're going to do is take equal parts either side, wrap it around, and thread it back through again. One from one side and then one from the other side. Pull it out. There we go. That's one side of it out. Yeah. There we go. and then what we're going to do is that's our starting point there. I've just changed the needles over for a thinner needle because it just wasn't really playing. So now, okay, left hand, right hand, okay, left side in, and then what you're going to do is you're going to catch it with a cross, and then you're going to pull the other side through the leather. Okay, you're going to leave a little bit hanging, and then what you're going to do is get the other side. What I like to do is I like to pull the thread back so you don't tangle it. Push the needle through with your left hand thread, hook that over, and then pull that needle through. And what you do is you pull all those pieces tight, and there you go. Okay, and once again I've just changed over the needles just for ease of the video. Okay, so left goes through, after making the hole a little bit bigger with the oil. So we're just going to go through with the oil other side just to make it a bit bigger. So left goes through, catch it with the other side, and then hold these forward, push that back through, wrap it, and then everything goes back through, and then just make sure everything's nice and tight. Left goes through, catch it with the other side, make sort of like an X shape, keep pulling the thread through, lift it out, pull everything down, back through the same hole, left hand wraps over, and then pull everything out. Just really hard to grab onto these needles. Let's give it a wee tug and that will come through. Needle goes through, pull it out the other side, right hand needle goes through, left hand goes over, enlarging the hole, left goes in, comes out, hold it down the bottom, right goes in, pull it out, wrap the thread over. So what you're going for is the thread that just goes in is underneath the other, so it'll look uniformal when you pull it out. Okay. What I'll do is I'll just speed through it now. I'll stitch it up so then we can get to the burnishing stage. Okay, so now we are on to our last stitching hole right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it the same way. We're going to stitch it through both ways. And that's through. We're going to wrap it. We're going to pull it tight, and then we're going to come back through the other side, keeping this. We need to keep this pulled tight. That's going to go back through that way. So we need to pull that through nice and tight, and then we're going to go back through this way with the other side. Do it nice and tight. That's going to go through. Just going to try and pull this one out. You just need to try and keep it nice and tight so everything moves out of the way. Try and open the hole up a bit. There we go. Pull that tight. And then what we're going to do with this left hand, we're going to poke it through a little bit further down, and that goes through. And then what we want to do is give it a good sharp pull so it comes out. The other side. There we go. Home free. Okay, then what you want to do is you want to. Okay, so now that we have got the finished off, we've got the. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut them off, and then with a lighter, it's going to burn down and just make them flat. So then you've got them down and they're nice and flat. And there we have, we're fully stitched in, everything's stitched, and then all we need to do now is give it a bit of a sanding and burnish. So what we're going to do with the sanding, the reason we sand is to make sure that the grain is all level and flat. So you can just use an emery board, that works. Just making sure all the leather is just one thickness, one level. Okay, so I've just used the sandpaper just to round the edges off as well. So that's nice and nearly smooth as it is. You can go down the grits of paper, but recommended to give it a bit of a dampening. You can see the ends are starting to turn over. So what you can do to counteract that is you can get an edge trimmer, and what you do with that is it literally just run it down edges of all the sides, and what that does is it just takes away that rolled edge. So you do that back and front, and that just prevents the rolled edge from ever appearing in the first place. There we go. Once you've got it to a level that you're happy with, so I've got that nice and smooth all the way around, we'll go into the actual process of burnishing. to use this stuff. You get it from Amazon. Don't know what it is. I don't read the stuff on the back, so I don't know what it says, but what it does is makes everything nice. It binds everything together, makes it all nice and shiny and binded together, sort of like PVA glue, but it must have something else in it, or it could just be rather expensive PVA glue, the old white glue you get from school. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to dab that on all over, make sure it's got a nice healthy coating all the way around like this. Nice healthy coating like that. Just let it soak into the leather. Give it a couple of minutes just to soak in, and then what you want to do is either with there's several things you can do to help burnish. There's a bit of jean, there's a bit of chrome tanned leather, and then there's obviously the burnishing things, the things that are actually there to made for burnishing. But what I like to do is I like to start with the bit of jean, and then what you're doing is you're just rubbing it, you're making it nice and shiny, like your shoes. What you do, you apply the polish and then you buff it up. So that's all we're doing, we're buffing the leather now, making it nice and shiny. So all we're doing is just taking that stuff we just put on it, and we're just buffing. Another thing you can do, if you don't want to use any expensive buffing agents or burnishing agents, you can just use beeswax. Just get a bit of beeswax on it and then just buff that in the same. There we go. I've burnished all the sides, and there you have it. From start to finish, the punching, the stitching, and now the burnishing. Well, thank you very much for watching. I've been Cooper's Leathers, and if you like what you've seen, like, subscribe, and even leave a comment down below. Thank you very much.